Hello everybody, this is Closed Casket. We're going to be playing this game Oxygen Not Included today. I have played it a few times, so I'm not a complete noob at it, but I will be starting from scratch, showing you the basics, giving you some tips that I've learned through the ways, um, mostly the ways of dying, having your replicants pass on terribly. So let's get started. It's a pretty decent game. It's in alpha, so it is incredibly new, but being that it is in alpha, there is a lot to it, and obviously they will be adding more to it to improve it, but it is highly entertaining to begin with if you like this type of game. So starting off, you start off with what's called replicants. You get 3 of them to start with, and you get to pick the first 3, which is a biggie. These guys make a big difference because these are what you start off with. So you really kind of want to get a decent mix on this first one. They have attributes like anything. They have a good and a bad trait. Some of them have 2 goods or 2 bads, so forth and so on. Like this guy's naturally robust, which means, he will fight off most diseases. Doesn't get very sick, but he's a narcoleptic, meaning he will fall asleep randomly at any time, any place, which in this game could mean death, because he could be mining in an area where he's holding his breath and passes out and dies. So narcoleptics are interesting, but not for the first kind of group that you want. So you got a quick learner here, which is going to be really good for research. Not really athletic, meaning their movement speed's down, but life goes on, and they're good at... she's good at running machines. Anemic, meaning, she's not very fast, but she is a quick learner, meaning she will pick up things quicker, which is, it's not bad. So that's a good one to start with. Dan. Great, she's got irritable bowel syndrome. Just takes them a little bit longer to go to the bathroom. Not a big deal. Twinkle toes means they're a lot faster. She's good at digging, learning, medicine, and athletics. Not a bad one. Diver's lung is a very good one to have because they don't suck up a lot of oxygen. Unfortunately, with narcoleptic, it's never gonna make it. Mouth breather is one that you definitely don't want to start off with, because they'll suck up a lot of oxygen when you first start. Mole hands is good. They'll dig a lot faster than most of the other people. So that's that one. Then you can name your colony. I'm going to name it Doomed 2, only because one of my earlier exploits on this game is called Doom 1. So then you hit in the embark. Basically, the biggest worry you have in this game is don't suffocate. So when you first start off, alert, your crew is awoken miles beneath the surface of an unfamiliar terrestrial body. Oddly, they have no recollection of how they got here. It might be best to start digging. Yeah, no kidding, because you start off in a... Okay, if you press spacebar, it pauses it. So we're going to pause it here real quick. You always start off in this predetermined little area. Around you is always different. Always. So... just to give you a little overview, it does have a fog of war type thing where you can only see within a certain radius of where your replicants are at the time. So this will expand. There is definite borders. I have seen that on other people's videos. So there is an absolute top and bottom. So what you have is, it's not endless. You can't just keep going. So you got to kind of make the most of what you got, especially in the beginning, because it is very difficult. Got a little bit of water over here, a little bit more here, a little bit more here. Water is important. And then if you mouse over, I mean, it's pretty detailed for being an alpha. They've done a really good job with this so far, and I'm really excited to see where to go with it, because it has the potential to be a really good game. It already is a really good game, but they could really take this to another level. So when you first start off, you start off with these 3 dudes. They're called replicants. You have your printing pod, which, if you look, it says next replicant in 1,490 seconds. So they will refresh. You will get more as it goes on. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. It'll give you a choice of 3 replicants when it gets to 0. You cannot change them. Those are the only 3 you have. So based off what the random generator gives you, they might not be somebody you want, honestly. Because if they're not going to be real helpful, they're just going to be sucking up air and spitting out carbon dioxide. And it's going to be bad. So you start off with that. Start off with a ration box that does have a little bit of food in it. If you go up here, you can click on it. It has 20,000 calories of field rations in it to start off with. So that's that. To give you a little basis of the overlay here. Like I said, you can mouse over anything. You got sandstone, algae here, which is very important, dirt, which is important. Sandstone is what you're going to be building a lot of stuff with. You have some plants, you have the mealwood here, you have bristle blossom, berry muckroot. So if you mouse over it, it'll give you a general description of it. Down here on the left is your building queue. It'll show you, if you click on it, what you can build. Ladders. You start off with a few items of necessity, and you can get more. Like any ones that have this symbol here, you can see it says requires gas piping research. So you have to research that. There is a little bit of a research to it, which I will show you later on. And then you have the oxygen. You have all these you can go through. Over here you have different things like dig, harvest, prioritize, sweep, mop, deconstruct, and then cancel. And then up here you have jobs, vitals, reports, research. You have your overlays, which you can click the F1 through I believe 8, or yeah, F8. So if you click F1, it shows you your oxygen. What you got for oxygen? Obviously up here, this is carbon dioxide. It's unbreathable. So that'll give you, that comes in handy to know where some of the gases that you produce later on come. The gases in this game act just like gases in real life. Whereas carbon dioxide is heavier than oxygen, so it will tends to sink to the lower levels of a base that you build. Oxygen tends to stay in the middle. Once you start producing hydrogen, that'll start rising up into the areas that it's being produced, or sometimes you find it in pockets throughout this area. So that's that overlay. And you have a bunch of different things, but let's jump right on in and get started here. This is going to be where they tell you updates and important information. So like basic controls and all that. Requires toilets. So the basic way you start off, we're going to pause it real quick here. We're going to need algae and sandstone. So what I typically do is I'm going to build over to here and excavate this out. So you hit the dig tool, and you can dig out various different areas. And then once you let go, these guys use their little laser beams and dig it out. And as you get things that you can use to build with, more things become available. Your replicants will go up or down 2 blocks without a ladder. See, you can see Howard there just went for broke and jumped up there. but they will not jump up more than that. So they can get stuck in areas. So you can build ladders up and down to facilitate moving around a little bit better. We're gonna wanna... Algae is very important. This stuff here, oxalate, it's only at the beginning of the game, and it basically just gives off a lot of oxygen. And it's basically just to get you started until you can start building your own oxygen generating items, which is starting off, it's the algae deodorizer. You want to start off and kind of just dig out areas and build a starting point, pretty much. Just a base of operations per se, because it does... You need to get a couple different levels going for different things, because you want to build your cots, but you don't want to build the cots near any kind of light source, which would be your F3 button. If you go up here, you can either click on it, it's your F4 button, excuse me. And you can see where the light is being produced right now from this thing. And there's a little bit from their laser guns going off. You don't want to build your cots in the light because it pisses them off when they go to try to sleep. They're not happy then. So you need cots for when they sleep. If you look up here, there's a cycle, and when there's kind of like a pie-shaped section. When the beginning of the pie-shaped section gets up here to the top, they're gonna go to sleep. If they don't have cots to sleep on, they basically just kind of pass out wherever the hell they end up. And they don't get as good of a sleep as they would have if you built a cot for them. And then that will affect their stress levels. And based on who they are, once they get upset and their stress gets too high, they'll do certain things. Like this one is destructive. They'll start breaking crap, that sucks, trust me. They just start flipping out. Alright, so once you get something going, build the storage compactor, because that way you can store all this stuff that's on the floor. You're gonna build some cots. Build some of those. And then once this, so this is something that's important. Once this is built, you gotta click on it and you gotta pick what you want stored in it. I typically on these just pick all, just so that they'll just stuff everything in there. What we need to do is get some of this copper ore going here, because that's really what you use to build the power options, and powering stuff up is important. So what I may do, let's see, this isn't a great starting type of thing because there's not a whole lot of ore around that you can get to without breaking some of this stuff. Alright, well, so be it. Build that there. Dig this out here. And that. And try to keep some of this oxalate going so that we don't have to worry about building. Now this stuff's kind of delicate. Kind of gets pissed off when you start digging around it, so you gotta be careful. There is kind of a mechanic to the game, like sand and dirt aren't very anything like organic. It's not really structurally sound. So if you dig this, say if you dig right here, this sand is going to drop down and leave a void there. And this algae won't. The algae won't. It kind of sticks together, as you can see. But the sand will. So if you dug right here, all of this sand is going to drop down and create piles below it. So you got to kind of be careful about digging above you. It's kind of like Minecraft. If you dig straight up, it's going to drop down and bury things underneath it, which will make them inoperable. See, that's already full, so we'll build another one next to it. See the sand drop down, so now you have to dig that out. The other thing you want, see over here it says colony requires toilets. That's another biggie that you're going to want to get done fairly quickly, because they will make a mess, per se. They'll make a mess everywhere. I mean, that's just what happens with them. Once they have to go to the bathroom, they will go. If there's no place for them to go, they will go. So it's better off to have an outhouse, which is under plumbing, built before that comes to pass. Or they're going to mess themselves, make contaminated water, which will flow. The water dynamic does work. It will flow. I'm hoping that this algae will hold back this water, because if it doesn't, it's going to break through, and so that's why I stayed. I know dirt. Now it's sleep time, so because there's beds, they'll go and sleep. I want to get up into this ore if I can. So we're going to make some ladders up into there for now to get to that ore. The ore is very important. If you go over here, you can see it'll give you a basic breakdown of what you have, and then if you click on it, it'll give you a more detailed. I have some water stored, cultivated soil, which is just dirt. Dirt's used for a lot of different things in this game. Believe it or not, it's used to make the first kind of meal food source, which is called muck bars, I believe. Which, yeah, sounds really edible. So, and it's also used for research. Then you get edibles, which, see, there's some muck root there that they found, and field rations. Got some seeds, some mealywood seeds. Got some organic algae. Got a lot of algae, which is good. We got some sand, which is used as a filtration. So these guys are going to go up here. And then once they get up there, we're going to want them to dig out all of this. Because I want all that iron so that I can start making some good stuff. Water is very important, and you want to make sure you don't pollute the water. See, now they're hungry, they're going to go eat, which means they're going to want to go take a Dukenheider soon. Which... I'm going to put an outhouse down. Now, here, I'm going to pause it for a second. Big part of this game. Prioritize. Because you're going to run into a situation where the shit's hitting the fan and something's dying. They're dying. They're running out of something that's very important, and you have a bunch, like you can see here. I have a bunch of digging going on, and without a prioritizing, like, so this is going to be a priority right now, this outhouse, because they just got done eating. After your replicants eat, they gotta go to the bathroom. If I don't have a bathroom built, they're gonna just mess themselves. They make a giant mess, and what happens is that's contaminated. It will move around. It's a pain in the ass to clean up afterwards. So if you go into the priority screen, you can see here all the different numbers. Whenever you do something, the priority is the default priority is 5, which down here you can see is just a medium default. You can change this by clicking on the 9 and then clicking on something. You can also drag over things, like if you say you needed this section done first, you could drag over it, which is great for big groups of areas. But they will obviously do the highest priorities first and then move back to the other stuff. So where I want that done, we're gonna do that. See, they ate. Now they take a Dukenheiser, and if they don't have an outhouse, they'll just mess themselves. Or a toilet later on. You can build toilets. So the other thing you can do is look over here. Build. I thought I had one that had really good construction skills, but I must have got rid of them. Alright, so they're building. And I can guarantee you right now somebody will mess themselves, because by the time this is built and 2 of them use it, the 3rd one will have an accident. It's gonna happen. And this little gauge on the side of this thing actually does work. As it gets full, that gauge will go up. And as the gauge goes up, the fuller it gets. If you don't have some place to put it, they're not going to use it. He's done. Hey, look, I think I might have lucked out. Get in the bathroom if you have to go. So you can see they're holding their breath. It says right there. If you go into the overlay, see there's a little bit of carbon dioxide down here. Like I said, carbon dioxide's going to drop. Oxygen rises. That's what happens. That's kind of why I put the outhouse down into this general area. Because it stays below your sleeping area. You don't want to put it near the sleeping area because it's going to piss them off. And that's part of trying to keep this. There's the stress bar up in this area over here. You see the population stress. If you mouse over it, it'll tell you. See, they have to get out of that because it's just too much. Too much CO2. Eventually it will kind of, if you have it in place, it'll kind of seep down and fill in. But right now, because that's blocked off and it's the end, there's no place for it else to go, that's what it's going to do. Now they're going to go up and start doing this area, which this is important because I want to start building down in this area a generator type deal. Although I could probably build it up on this side if I really wanted to. See, right now I can't build anything because I don't have any of this copper. And there, now I can, because I just mined some copper. So, what I want to do is I want to build a little generator area. But I want to be careful where I put it. See, the oxygen's kind of down here now, so we're good. Let's see, we can put it up here, I guess, for now. So you start off with a manual generator, put that down. You want to build about 2 batteries the first go around. And then you connect it with wires to the plug parts. Okay? The first thing you want to build quickly is this research station. And make sure it's powered. Because that's going to allow you to get to the other better things that you want in life. That's going to make life a lot easier. Now basically this generator, this first one that you make, is basically a hamster wheel. One of your little replicants gets in it and runs like a bastard and powers it up, which is pretty funny actually. And then once this is all set up, which basically you build the batteries, because this thing will generate, if you click on it, it will generate, it doesn't tell you right here for now, and I think it's, there you go. So if you click on it, it generates 400 watts, okay? Alright, so here's your research. Let's pause this for a second because we got a few things going on here. Alright, so let's focus on the energy first, and then I'll tell you about the research. So basically, when your little dude's running like a hamster in this wheel, it's going to generate 400 watts, okay? This research station, if you click on it, uses 120. It doesn't tell you that right now, but as soon as somebody gets into it, it's going to use here. Alright. Okay, here's your research. Open the research up. This is the research that you can do so far in the game. Like I said, it's alpha, so it's going to get better. The first one I typically go towards in this. You can do it any way you want. These are the starting 4. And then you get into the intermediates where you have to build a supercomputer to do it also. It requires 20 novice research for these. So basically, I start off with this one because it gives you the ability to build an algae terrarium, which will suck in some of the carbon dioxide and make a small amount of oxygen. It also gains a benefit from direct sunlight. You get a compost heap, which works very well, and you need for the outhouse that you have, and a planter box. So that's typically where I go. So if you click on that, or whichever one you start off with, and then you'll see this. Click on that. Now, you need 20 to get it done. It only has 6 slots. You can do it this way if you want, but what I've found is after these 6 are done, they will stop working on it, and you'll have to keep going back. If you click this, it will just continually do it. It'll constantly work on it until whatever thing you have, whatever research you have clicked is done. So that's set for that. Now with the electricity, this little dude running like a hamster wheel, when somebody comes down here and mans this, it's going to use 120 watts of power to get going, meaning you're generating 400, you have a surplus of 280 watts. If you don't have batteries built, that 280 watts just poof goes off into Never Never Land, and it can't be used. It's a waste. So if you build batteries, this little bugger will pump these batteries up, and this will hold a charge so that when you're sleeping, or so that he doesn't have to sit in here constantly and run like a gerbil. So, and then let's see, so jobs, research. These 2 people are pretty similar at it. One's 4, one's 5. But if you remember, one of these I believe is a fast learner. Let's see. Here we go. Quick learner. Picks things up really quick. So we want her, Gabrielle, to be doing the research, which she's gonna. She gets in on that sucker and gets to researching things, which is great. We have a lot of this oxalate left, which is awesome. There's breathable oxygen down here. It will transfer around because there is an opening. And he's done and gets chucked off because, as you can see, these little gauges, they actually work. They'll tell you how much juice is left in the battery. You can set it to what the threshold is, battery threshold. So once the batteries get down to 50%, somebody's going to come and run like a hamster in there to charge it back up again. You can set that to whatever you want. Alright, so we're moving along here at a pretty good pace. Got things going. As you can see up here, this isn't the best, but since we broke through, the oxygen's starting to come up and filter in. This carbon dioxide will come down and filter down. As you can see down here, it's starting to build up a little bit. And he's holding his breath so that he can work up in here. What you can do is you can build, you can actually see it in a little bit in the overlay. What you can do is you can build oxygenators, but this will actually filter over time. As you can see, it's starting to, the oxygen's already starting to fill the upper thing up, and it'll start to push down as this filters out and down. That's why you don't want to build your beds down on the lower level, because these little buggers will suffocate if you have a problem. And we got, 400 seconds until our next replicant. We got a pretty decent start going here. I'm not sure which. I think I'm going to use this as my water reservoir, but I'm not sure yet. It's kind of in the way. This is not a whole lot of water over here. A little bit of contaminated water there, which you can filter later on. Build pumps and filter systems. Contaminated water there. Contaminated oxygen and water there. There is also critters that live around. There are little nocturnal dudes that come out at night that start eating your minerals. There are other things called puffs, which eat contaminated oxygen and poop out slime, which you can actually use to make algae, and contaminated water, which will actually make that you can actually filter into regular water. It's a very interesting game, and it can be very complex. So, I mean, there's a lot to it. It's fun, and it is challenging because it only takes one little mess up and shit starts going downhill quick and they die. If you don't believe me, go ahead and watch Markiplier or Jacksepticeye have both played this game, and that's where I found this game from. Watch them, because they, unlike me, they start off playing it for the very first time and it goes bad quickly. But now they're eating. So the other thing you're going to want to make is a micro musher. Put that there. connect it with some wires, because what happens is you're going to run out of food eventually. I mean, they haven't yet, but they will. It's going to happen. So if you make one of these, this is what you make your food with. As of right now, there are two different food types that you can make. You can make a mukbang, which is as disgusting as it sounds. It's made out of dirt and water, but they can sustain themselves off of it. Mukbang, or they can make a meal bar, I believe it's called, or a mealy wood bar or something. When this gets done, I'll show you. These little trees here, not this one, bristlebriar, bristle blossom. Yep, somebody's gonna use. Oh, okay. So you see how the dirt fell, and it's making it so that that can't be used because it's in what's called entombed. See, entombed. And now that it's not entombed, it can be used again. All right. Okay, you can make a mush bar or a lice loaf. They're both very appetizing sounding, I get it. Lice loaf requires meal lice in a bottled in some water. It gives you 1,000 calories. This is a mush bar. Requires dirt and bottled water. Gives you 1,000 yeah, you get it. But it also may cause diarrhea, which is fabulous. That's what you want in a cave. This guy's all set. The way you get the lices is off of this thing. They grow off of this. Or once you start planting things, they'll, so there's still a lot of carbon dioxide up here. What's it looking like down here? There's a little bit next to this outhouse, which is to be expected. That's why you don't put the outhouse anywhere near where you're sleeping. It's still up there digging away. Alright, so trying to breathe because a lot of oxygen up, a lot of carbon dioxide up there. Alright. Kinda at an indecisive spot here of where I want to go. So I want to keep this here for as long as possible. Let's see, it's running out. This one, as it gets less and less, you can see it gets lighter and lighter. This one's getting real close to just, yeah, watch when it goes. It just kind of poofs away. And it'll just pop like so. And goes away. That's the end of it. So, that's a muck root. I think you guys will eat it. See, now that they got really nothing to do, they'll go around and suck up the stuff that's on the floor and put it into these little boxes. So let's build one more. Just have it there. Alright. What are we going to do next? I'm going to build another layer down under here. We're really kind of waiting on the research. We got a new duplicate coming in. Alright, we'll show you this and then we'll end this video. Let's show you how that works. Set that to sweet ball. And the research is done also, so we can move on to the next one, which I typically do. We can do that. And here's our new applicant. Alright, so excuse me, when you, unlike at the beginning of the game when you get 3 and you can kind of shuffle them around and change it to what you want, the 3 that they give you on this cannot be changed. What you get is what you get. So if you don't like who they are, I mean, at the beginning, unless they're absolute junk, at the beginning you want them because you need more people to do stuff with. This guy's a quick learner, but he's a narcoleptic, and you can only pick one of them. So you gotta kind of, pick your battles here. He's terrible at digging. Well, not terrible. He just doesn't have any bonuses. He has a huge bonus to decorating speed. And he's got a pretty decent bonus to research. But he is a narcoleptic. This one will not dig, which honestly, at this point in time, we're gonna go with Vernon. So when you pick him, in he comes, and ta-da! Welcome, Vernon. And you want to make sure you remember to make a cot for any new ones that excuse me, any new guys that you bring in, so that they have a place to sleep. Anyways, this is a good start off here, guys, and so far so good. We haven't died. It's not the best setup. We're kind of surrounded by water. I'd like to get one centralized water area, but as of right now, I mean, it's a good start. A lot of algae around us, which you'll see in the next upcoming videos. That's important. But we're gonna call this one done. And like always, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe for updates to other videos coming out. And if you have any suggestions for anything, for this video, for other videos, anything you're interested in, if you have any questions about the game, feel free to leave a comment, and I will get right back to you about it. Alright? Have a great day, guys. Good luck out there.